Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has announced that a United States naval armada is moving toward the Gulf, reinforcing pressure on Iran amid persistent regional tensions. The deployment underscores Washington's intent to protect strategic interests, including vital shipping lanes and allied partners, while maintaining a strong military posture. The administration has simultaneously sought to temper expectations of immediate conflict, emphasizing that the buildup is designed as a deterrent rather than a signal of impending military action. Recent statements and policy moves suggest a continued reliance on sanctions and diplomatic leverage alongside military preparedness. Joining me now on this is Global Affairs analyst Ejike Okpa. Thank you for joining us. Very quickly, how significant would you say that the UN Human Rights Chief's decision is to openly condemn Iran at an urgent council session?
Thank you for having me. UN is known to make statements and pass resolutions at the end. Most countries ignore UN position on things. So, in their 80 years or so of existence, it still stands to be seen where has UN effectively brought about peace, or when they make their statement, who responds and does things, as they expect. So it's very, very unfortunate that nations have to do what they do of their own citizens, and then you have UN to step in and make this statement. Human rights supposed to be a right that should not be violated. And when it happens, the judicial resources of a particular country should be the one stepping up to take care of it and not to go to UN. Because at the end of the day, it's just another media police and nothing happens. The countries that obey the UN rules are not banned from attending the annual General Assembly or any other thing. So, I think the world, the countries in the world need to get together and reassess their relationship and see whether UN needs to be structured to where they are giving more teeth to what they claim to do, or you forget about them. And then you strengthen your own internal resources so that you can be more responsive to your own citizens.
So, do these protests pose a real threat to the authorities in Tehran?
Of course it does. Protest is protest. We have it in U.S. and we deal with it. When we have protests in U.S., we're not calling on UN to come and say anything. When we, send people in jail in America, we're not looking to UN to come and tell us about civil rights. So again, that's the difference between developed nations and those of developing nations or underdeveloped. It's all about the law. It's all about the institutions of the law that can step up on behalf of the people, regardless of the position of the individual. And so what you see happening in Iran is an authoritarian government. When the Ayatollah says this is what happens, that's what happens. Everybody has, fall in line or get kicked out of line. And so that's why you see the protest. And what is the protest about? They want basic stuff in life. They want access to good health, access to housing, access to, to be heard when they have grievances to express. And so it doesn't have to come from a global institution, like UN or World Health or any of these guys to do it. Again, my thing is be territorial, be protective of your own sovereign rights, because that's what's going to give you the respect and the credibility so that when you step up on the national, world stage, people can pay attention to what you're saying.
Okay, the UN says the scale of deaths and arrests is deeply alarming. What do we know so far about what's happening on the ground?
Well, the statistics on who is dying or who is injured or who is maimed is always going to be skewed. We may never know because countries might say, oh, it's not happening. But then we see it. Thank God for technology of today. You can see things instantly. But, if they say 1,000 people have died, it might be an exaggeration, or it may even be more than 1,000 have died. But it comes to mind is, why do we in the 21st century still behave as if we're in whatever centuries ago? This is where presidents and heads of state for countries supposed to be more responsive towards their own people and not to suppress them, not to, allow them to do what they do. And then at the end of the day, people are dying. Remember when somebody dies, it's somebody's sibling, brother, parents, and that scar, goes on forever. And that's why you still have agitation. The protest may end, but somebody's still angry. Why should my own person die? Why did my father, my mom, my brother, my friend die because of this? And they bear that anger, and then you never know when it's going to surface again. So it's, the world, human beings are very difficult to deal with because,
okay. All right, apologies for interrupting you there, but thank you so much, Ejike Okpa, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. This is a very important conversation.